this story is incomplete. And as such, it's left as a selection of fragments and experiences from the past, from the present, from the future. A catalogue of words and thoughts that could not have existed before now. Because this story is the result of a collision, of time and place and circumstance, and its reach stretches past us, past me. This is a documentary. It's an unfolding mystery. It's a love story, of sorts. It's an apology. It's a thank you. It's a consequence of chance. This story is unapologetically romantic. It's hurtful and it's positive, and it's all too aware that at times it takes itself far too seriously. But it is serious. And beyond the beauty of hyperbole, this story is not about what happened, or how it happened, or even why it took so long to happen. No, this story is about the possibilities of what happens next. This story is not traditional. It does not keep in line. It does not play normal. It does not follow the rules. I wanted to let you know from the start that this story is not set. Not its characters, not its place, not its time. I wanted to let you know from the start that this story does not have an ending. That it will continue long after you've finished listening. That what happens after this is the most exciting thing about what you're going to hear. I wanted to let you know from the start that this story is impossible. But for now, this story begins with me speaking to you this catalogue of words and thoughts from somewhere else, from another time, from another place. To us. There are too many things that I want to say. And I'm sorry that I won't get to say them all. But I hope by now you know. I hope by now I don't actually need to say anything. I hope by now my words are unnecessary. The idea of you was born in the year 2019. Storm clouds were brewing over England and the future was uncertain. Nothing seemed real. Everything felt imaginary, fake, distant. We were told stories. We were told stories of people detonating bombs strapped to their chests, of the polarised political landscape over Brexit, of people being attacked on buses for their sexuality. We were told stories about riots across the globe, about the changing climate, about hurricanes and cyclones and monsoons and typhoons, about countries flooding whilst others burned. We were told stories about 11 billion tonnes of ice melting in Greenland in one day, about 434 mass shootings across America, about 1,000 refugees dying in the Mediterranean Sea for the 6th year in a row. But amongst all of these stories, all of this unrest, all of this suffering, all of this stupidity, something unimaginable, unbelievable, impossible. Our story was beginning. Now then, thanks for listening. This has been a while in the making, and a lot has happened already, and things have gone wrong. But that's all right. That's all right now. As I said to the counsellor, I'm quite good at compartmentalising things. Just kind of put it in a box, see what happens, and we'll take it from there. I never had any expectations. How could I? It wasn't ever supposed to happen like this. There's hope, of course, but no set expectations. So don't worry when things don't go to plan. It will all be okay. And whatever happens, we'll get through it together. Me and you. Us. When I first started writing this letter, the recipient was already alive and waiting. They were already born, but I didn't know who they were. I hadn't met them. Yet. Back then, they were but a figment of my imagination. A plan in motion. Just a possibility. Everything started amid some changes to the law. Some insertions, some new words. Nothing particularly unusual. That by itself is not what makes our story impossible. It happens all of the time. A continuous catalogue of amendments, acts and appeals. Just one more signature on yet another piece of paper. I'd never really paid that much attention to it before. It didn't matter. I didn't choose to know, it didn't affect me. Because at that point, there was no us. But in 2019, something shifted. And for the first time, I allowed myself to imagine who you were and who I could become. I can't pinpoint the exact moment that I realised I wanted to have children. I think maybe I just always put it to the back of my mind. Because I was single. Because I was gay. I mean, they are two fairly big barriers to traditional conception. I just don't think I ever really gave it that much thought. Perhaps I just presumed that I wouldn't. Couldn't, even. Must keep in line. Must play normal. Must follow the rules. I understood what those rules were. I'd spent enough of my childhood pretending to follow them. As a teenager, I'd pretty much perfected the routine, but the panic, if the mask slipped, if somehow everyone found out. I think I'd convinced myself at about 14 that the world was just some kind of game that I was playing without knowing, and to win, I just had to accept that I was gay, just had to say it out loud. I've got a very specific memory of walking down Church Lane in Thorngunbald, Hull, around 1997. Past Sisters' Cottages and the new purse box, the shops on my right would have been the fruit shop and Tate's, both gone now. And I'm about to turn left onto St Martin's Road, past the two huge trees, Mr. and Mrs. Smith's on the corner, and I remember thinking to myself, if I could just say the words "I'm gay" out loud, I would win. And the world would stop, and strangers would run towards me and applaud me and congratulate me, and bells would ring and confetti would fall from the sky, and everything would be okay. I didn't. Wouldn't, couldn't even. And the world just carried on. And I carried on. I carried on with the game. I carried on keeping in line, playing normal, following the rules. The perfect timing, rehearsed, each movement in place, every step in accordance with the image that was projected for me. Trying my best to make it all seem real. And then, when I did eventually step out of line, of course strangers didn't stop and congratulate me. No ringing bells, no falling confetti. But in a way, the world did stop. Because I left the game behind. And because I was no longer playing by its rules, I was able to rewrite what was possible. Until the 30th of December 2005, only married couples were able to adopt a child in the UK. Opponents raised doubts over the stability of the family environment and how this could affect the welfare of the child, and the Lords rejected the proposal on one occasion before it was passed. But the bill eventually came into force in what was seen as the most radical overhaul of adoption legislation in 30 years. And, on the 30th of December 2005, I was in Spain with my family for New Year. Mum, dad, sister, great aunt and cousins playing games in the pool, relay races, popping Prosecco and singing karaoke. The barbecue was always on. The air was warm and the sky was an endless blue, and we were together, surrounded by orange groves and pomegranate trees. It was the 30th of December 2005, and I was singing karaoke in Spain with my family with no idea what was happening somewhere else, or the impact that it could have, or the impact that it would have. The impossible story continues with the close-up of a child drawing. It's a generic drawing, typical, the same colours, shapes and strokes that we've all seen before. A square house with oversized windows and giant people, green grass and multicoloured flowers, a winding garden path, smoke from the chimney, blue sky, white fluffy clouds, and a circular sun with triangular heat rays. And it's November 2018, Hyde Road, Manchester. 13 years and 11 months after the change in law. He's in the car with a work colleague, on the way in or out, and she's driving. Red lights and traffic jams and time to talk. They're telling each other about how they want to become parents, excited chats and half-developed plans. They share in each other's excitement, and there's a hope, just a possibility. Cut to January 2019, Worsley, Manchester. 14 years and 1 month after the change in law. He's in a large hall with black beams and leaded windows. There's a brochure in his hand about the local adoption service, and 2 women are talking about the process. The meetings and the interviews and the panels and the forms and the hoops that he'll need to jump through. Everything feels distant and a little out of reach, but there's a growing sense that something remarkable is happening. Cut to February 2019, Centre Parks, Epperheide, Belgium. 14 years and 2 months after the change in law. It's his birthday, and he's away as a family, mum, dad, sister, brother-in-law, his niece and 2 nephews, bike rides and swimming and swinging through the air on a giant rope. They're sat together around the table, having tea out to celebrate his birthday, eating and drinking and talking, and he's got something to say. A pause, a deep breath before he tells them of his plans, and a notable change in the atmosphere as the excitement ignites.
You are around 5 or 6 and we're at home. It's a Sunday. We've been for a walk, but the heavens opened up and we got drenched. The fire is on and we're sitting next to each other on the living room carpet. Our socks are hanging, drying. I've just been spinning you around. Hands held, feet in the air, your body horizontal. You were an astronaut on a rocket with 0 gravity, and I wanted to go again and again, but I got dizzy. We've got Land of the Giants on our telly, and all around us are little pieces of Legos. You're making the most brilliant things, but I don't know what they are. I guess, but I'm always wrong. I help, we build, and the time just slowly passes by like that. Me and you. Us. Together.
The timeline jumps here, after another change in law. A different one. A separate one. One that pulled the impossible story momentarily in a different direction. In some ways, it's superfluous. In some ways, it's vital. Balancing on the precipice of being both supplementary and essential. But the important thing is not when it happened, or why it happened, or even how it happened. No, the important thing is that without it, we wouldn't be here. we wouldn't be us. On the 3rd of January 2019, a remedial order was finally actioned so that single biological parents of children born through surrogacy could apply for a parental order and thus obtain an appropriate UK birth certificate, secure rights to surrogacy leave and pay, and ultimately authenticate their parenthood. But it also meant that, for the first time, I felt like I had more options available to me than I had ever thought possible. But it didn't work out. And that's okay. And the failed attempts, the miscarriages, and the ectopic pregnancy are only a small element of this story. And that's not to downplay the sadness or the stress or the pain. That was all hard to get through, to move beyond and past, but we did. And with the luxury of hindsight, I like to think that we can find some comfort in there being a reason for that. And that reason is you. Is us. I feel like I know you a little bit already. Not just the regular generic bits, not just your baby laugh or your chubby feet or your curls of hair, but you, the individual, or at least the connection that we share. You and me. Us. Together. I wonder if you'll have the same colour eyes as me, or the same ideology. I imagine you running ahead of me in the street, or your shadow on the wall next to mine as we watch a late night film, or your name flashing up on my mobile when you ring me. And I think about your face and your smile and hope that you know that you are completely and undeniably wanted. And I'm sorry for what you've missed already, all of the things that I've done without you, that it's taken this long to get us here. But I want you to know that I'm ready. I want you to know that I'm ready to be more than just me.
You're about 9 or 10 years old when we're out for the day at Brim and Rocks, open skies and crisp air. There is a vast number of rocks all across the horizon. You're smiling and playing, and I'm walking beside you, and you're laughing and running, and I'm telling you to be careful, and I trust you to be careful. But then I see you jump across from one rock to the other. The second rock is considerably lower, and I run forward and realise that you're not going to be able to jump back up. All of the other rocks around you are too high, and now you're trapped on this rock. You don't say anything, but the look on your face when you realise what you've just done, you're not scared, just still, unsure, not moving, holding on, just in case the world shifted.
Whilst there were those that disagreed with the inclusion of gay couples, and especially single men, in the overhaul of adoption legislation, the chief executive of the British Association for Adoption and Fostering said the changes would have a major impact on thousands of families, encouraging more people to consider adoption. And this is very important at a time when too many children wait too long in temporary care, waiting for an adoptive family, or, in some cases, never have the chance of adoption at all. It was the 30th of December 2005, and I was singing karaoke in Spain with my mum and great aunt with no idea what was happening somewhere else, or the impact that it could have, or the impact that it would have. The impossible story continues with a close-up of a child's drawing. It's a generic drawing, typical, the same colours, shapes and strokes that we've all seen before. It's on the back of an electricity bill, or a lined sheet ripped from a spiral pad, or across the inside of an empty cereal box, pinned in place against a fridge with a series of colourful, magnetic letters. Cut to 7th of February 2022, Broadbottom, Manchester, 17 years and 2 months since the change in law. He's sat in his house with his care worker, who is lovely. They're discussing a whole heap of initial things: why he wants children, how much support he'll have, the importance of understanding trauma. She looks around his home, makes notes on the suitability of the stone floors and wooden furniture, the lack of a fire alarm, and bottles of alcohol on display. Things will need to change, but that's okay. She informs him of the process, a series of phases: an initial assessment, then stage 1, then stage 2, then a panel, then matching, and he wonders out loud whether being a single gay man would work against him. He understands that there will inevitably be some unconscious bias that would prioritise a heterosexual couple over him. He's convinced that's just the way it is. Cut to 19th of April 2022, Howellcroft House, Bolton. 17 years and 4 months since the change in law. He's driving to the training and the traffic is horrific. He's sweating and panicked and worried that he's going to be late. But he's not. He's taken into a small white room, clean, neat, minimal, at the back of a number of offices. It feels constructed but friendly. The session has started, groups of couples nervously sat together, introducing themselves, and 2 single women. He spills a cup of tea before he settles into the information and advice and statistics and warnings and guides for parenting. Another step, another stage complete. Cut to 6th of June 2022, Broadbottom, Manchester. 17 years and 6 months since the change in law. Everything feels almost complete. He's at home with his care worker for their final meeting in stage 2. Hundreds of pre-prepared words answering questions about his childhood, his favourite memory, his worst time at school, his relationship with his grandparents, family trees and local area surveys, financial breakdowns and evidence of savings, about food, holidays, school subjects, religion and thoughts about smacking. And the chocolate-covered shortbread remains uneaten. She looks up and smiles. An email from a colleague with a potential match already for a 7-month-old little girl. His heart races. And there's still a long way to go, but everything is starting to feel very, very real. My mum and dad wrote me a letter. I asked them for some advice based on their experiences of being a parent, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, what I need to know, what I need to change. 200 or so words specifically written for this, specifically for now. From them to me.
Dear son, the advice we can give you as you venture on the most challenging and rewarding journey of your life.
Becoming a parent and holding your little one in your arms, no one can describe the overwhelming feeling of love. At that point, your whole life changes forever.
Your child is totally dependent on you. There will be times when you feel tired and exhausted, think that you can't do it. This is all normal. Ask for help when you can.
Sleep when baby sleeps. Don't worry about the things that you need to do. That will eventually become part of your routine.
And remember, the most important job that you have is to nurture this little bundle of joy, and the best thing you can spend on them is time.
Have playtimes, as this is helping them to create memories. You don't have to spend money all the time on things. The simple things matter.
Children are very selfish. They will always be trying to push the boundaries.
This is when patience and understanding comes in, along with discipline and also routine. There is no rule book, and every parent finds the way that is best for them.
A lot of things will come naturally, so just trust your instincts.
This will be the most rewarding thing you have ever done, and it never ends. The role will carry on as your family grows. And always remember, son, we are here, as we always have been, every step of the way. Lots of love, Mum and Dad.
You are around 2 or 3. We're in our local shop. It's warm. You're walking next to me. I grab a tin of beans. Then we're out me singing. You stand off the side of the trolley and tip it over, and there's a sharp corner. I catch you as you fall, but the trolley cuts your eye, and there's blood all over. The shop symptoms are bringing cloth, and someone brings a first aid kit. You're screaming, and I feel sick, and I'm panicking, and I think you lost your eye, and I'm reminded, how much you need me. I'm reminded this isn't just about me more. I'm reminded that there's someone more important than me.
The impossible story continues with the close-up of a child's drawing. It's a generic drawing, typical, the same colours, shapes and strokes that we've all seen before. Except this one is special, miraculous. This one is a work of art. Cut to the 10th of November 2022. Livesey Children's and All-Age Centre, Blackburn. 17 years and 11 months since the change in law. And he's sat in front of 12 care professionals who'll be deciding whether he's a good match for the little girl. For baby M. There are questions and discussions, and he takes very little in of his surroundings except the smiles of the faces around him. And he is calm. Everything feels positive and hopeful. And before he knows it, he's been told that the panel have made a unanimous decision. The official authorisation will take 2 weeks, and he'll start adoption leave, go through a week of introductions, and then baby M will move into his home, will become his daughter on the 2nd of December 2022. I can't wait to know you, to watch you grow, to see you outside of my imagination. I can't wait for the things that we'll do together. I can't wait to meet you. I can't wait for us. And whatever happens in the meantime, between now and then, whatever storm clouds brew over England, over the world, know that you were loved before you were anything more than just a small, hurtful idea. And to imagine that this story unfolds in any way without you being a central part of it is just impossible. From me. The impossible story pauses here, and the stages have been completed and everything is just waiting. And I'm speaking to you here, in this moment, when the ending is still uncertain. Because this story is incomplete. And as such, it's left as a selection of fragments and experiences from the past, from the present, from the future. What happens after this is the most exciting thing about what you've heard. Because getting stuck at Brimham Rocks, or the rainy Sundays by the fire, or the tipping of a shopping trolley, they're not born from my imagination. They're born from my memories. The child in those stories is me. Because that's all I can do for now. Just remember. And I will remember more one day. After 16 years of us and 55 years of me. In 2038, just an ordinary day. I don't know where we'll be or what we'll be doing, but it'll be warm and it'll be safe. The walls may have changed colour, but something about the place will remain the same. We'll be surrounded by our achievements and your childhood drawings. Square houses with oversized windows. And I'll know it's the right time, because I'll look at you and realise that every single decision I've ever made has led me to this one moment, this one connection. Outside of all the rules. And right now, here, I've no idea what that means or what that will feel like, and I can't even contemplate it other than remember how it feels to be on the other side of it. That awareness, that feeling of complete familiarity. A familiarity and a love that will feel so impenetrable, so incredible, so completely impossible. And we'll have just shared a memory about a walk in the rain or the way I used to spin you around by your arms like an astronaut, and I'll give you an envelope. And together, we'll read a letter from before now. A letter that documents the time when the world shifted. From me to us.
From Me to Us, written and performed by Wayne Stephen Jackson. Music composed by Chris Benstead, produced by Rachel Austin. With special thanks to Albert Jean Ransom, Matilda Jean Arthur, Oliver Jean Ransom, Lorraine and Stephen Jackson.
Cut to 29th of November 2022, Broadbottom, Manchester. 17 years and 11 months since the change in law. He's in the middle of introductions. Morning routine, then evening routine, then all day at the foster carer's house, and now his daughter is visiting her new home for the first time. And everything is going brilliantly. They are playing and dancing and cuddling and enjoying being with each other. But that's not the end of their story. Because at the same time as all of this is finally happening, the impossible story continues with a short telephone call. Excitement, hope, joy. His daughter now has a sister. And whilst there's still a way to go and there will be more hoops to get through, he has the overwhelming feeling of fulfilled completion and the possibilities of what happens next, of who he was and who he is and who they will be together, suddenly feel real.